Thank you. Maura, don't go too far away. You know, throughout all of these ceremonies, all these different speakers are like pieces of cloth. But Maura has been this golden thread that weaves us all together. Please give a hand for Maura. You know, I have actually taught all over the world. I've brought people to work with indigenous cultures, indigenous elders from pretty much every part of the world. I've gone to the outback with Aborigine elders. I've gone down to Peru to work with shaman in the middle of the Amazon a number of times. I've worked with Native Americans for most, if not all, of my adult life. But at the end of the day, all I am is a broom pusher. The lodge that I belong to is called the Broom Pushers Lodge. What that means is all you do is sweep, you clean. You are not anything special, and you are everything special. To the simplest job, if you do that with consideration, with love, with integrity, it is vital to your health and well-being. We're going to do a couple of things for the entire audience in 1 second. But first, I want to take up where Maura left off. I want you guys to say as loudly as you possibly can, Matakwiyasa. I'm going to say aho, and you're going to repeat back Matakwiyasa. Will you do that with me? Thank you. Aho. Good. Let's try it one more time. Let's see what you can do. Aho. That was beautiful. You may see a couple of bowls out here and a couple of things laid out in front of me. Part of what we do in ceremony in Native American tradition is we smudge. Smudge could contain a number of things. Sage, sometimes tobacco, sometimes copal, number of different things depending on what region and what tribe and what energies they want to put into anything. So if you will permit, I am going to set these up and we'll have some assistants go around and they're going to smudge the entire group. As they do, don't feel obligated, but if you'd like, just take the smoke and let it wash over you. The reason that we do this is we're entering a ceremony. If you were to go to a wedding or a party, you'd bathe first. You'd want to go there clean. And this is a way to clean your entire being. So let's go on this journey together, shall we? Thank you. All right, if I could have my assistants up here, please. Oh, maybe they're still at tea. All right. Susan, if you will come up and if you would ask three people to join you, I'd appreciate it.
Over here, you come. Oh, okay. Let's go. They're there. Oh, okay.
Come.
Okay. Well, if you want to.
If you need it lit again, you'll let me know.
Okay. So
And I ask that you walk in a clockwise position and let whoever wants more take more.
Can you just show me how
Let
you
it wash
do it?
over you. I'm going to show you momentarily, just like this. But just hold this for a moment if you will.
Sure. This is what? The
Sage.
deco leaves. Sage.
Hold that if you will.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. You will probably need to come back for more leaves. Okay. Whenever you do, just come back.
Gonna start short. Should we do this way?
So you, as you're walking by them, let them do what they want with it.
Okay.
Okay.
So we just walk like this in front of people.
And I need to light everything. Hold it.
So I just move like this in front of people.
And let people do what they will with it. Yeah.
Sure.
Go ahead, gentlemen. Please. Yeah, go to different sides, please. Thank you. And music, if you would, please. A little lower, please. Even a little bit lower, if you don't mind. Perfect. What you are listening to as they are all walking around are sweat lodge songs. A sweat lodge is a Native American prayer ceremony. It's the equivalent of entering the womb of Mother Earth. And just like a birth, there are segments, there's rounds, there's progression. You enter, and when you enter, you say, any guesses what you say? Matakwiyasa. Matakwiyasa, as Maura was explaining, is to all my relatives. To all my relatives doesn't mean my cousin, my uncle, my brother, my sister only. You are my relative. You are my relative. We are each connected. And the more we recognize that, the more we see the commonality rather than the differences, the easier it is to find your own family in peace and harmony. It doesn't matter what part of the world we're from. It doesn't matter what age we are, what gender we are, what spiritual belief we are. At our core, at our essence, we are not separate. We are individual, but we're not separate. What you see up there is a Native American medicine wheel. As we go through this afternoon, we're going to see that each direction has a number of things associated with it. It has an intention, an energy, a people. It has a plant life, an animal life, and a mineral life. You might ask yourself, why? What's so important about that? And the truth is, the medicine wheel is here for us as a tool to help us recognize ourselves, to help lead us back to that place where we know ourselves. Because if we don't know ourselves, how can we possibly know our relation to another if we don't even know our relation to ourselves? Now, there are ways that people ingest energy, ingest knowledge, ingest wisdom. And every person is as different as we are. So some people ingest energy, ingest knowledge intellectually. Other people do it through their spirit, others through their heart, and yet others through their body. Think about it for a second. Sit with that for one moment. Each of you has a way that you are naturally drawn to. Which one is it for you? Do you know? Is there something that feels more natural to you? Is there something that feels less arduous, less difficult? Is there a way that you receive more easily, not only for yourself, but then as a means to share with others as well? And you've seen throughout this whole workshop, throughout this entire conference, people coming up and talking to you in a very mental, intellectual fashion. You've seen other people talk to your spirit, and you see yet others speak to your heart. And then there are people out there working the body. You know why we do that? We do that because that was a very specific, intentional design of Pinky. She wanted every single aspect to be covered. She chose for this to be a true experience of mind and body and spirit. Well, I teach through the heart. And what we're going to do today is we're going to ingest the medicine wheel. Not through so many words, but more through an energetic download, more through a guided journey. We're going to go one by one through the different aspects of the medicine wheel, and we're going to do it through a meditation. Is that all right with you guys? So, one more time, if you hear me say, aho, what's the answer? Oh, you guys got to do it more in unison than that. Come on. Ready? Aho. That was beautiful. Thank you for that. All right, as soon as they're done smudging, we will begin our journey. Now, I'm going to talk about meditation for a little bit. And that may be a bit presumptuous considering the room that I'm in and the incredible experience that each one of you has with meditation for yourselves. But I'm going to share my position, my point of view. A lot of people say that when you're meditating and you see that little shiny object, that little monkey that goes flying by, that you go, no, bad monkey, and you bring yourself right back here to where your meditation is. I have a slightly different take on this. To me, one of the greatest gifts that we are given, each one of us is given this gift. One of the greatest gifts that we are given as humans is the gift of choice. So instead of saying, well, I should be focused over here, or I should do this, or I should do this, you know what I call that in the world when I'm working with people? You're full of should. Should? I don't know what you should actually be doing in this world. But I know that your power, each one of your powers, lies first and foremost in the gift of choice. So if you're going through this meditation and you see a little shiny object, I'm not going to tell you you should get back over here. Instead, I'm going to encourage you to have a conversation with it. You look at it and go, hey, how you doing? Then you get to decide, do I want to follow that little thing or do I want to come back here? Then it's not something that you're doing because you're restrained or you're being taken away and made to do something. Instead, you're there because you want to be. You're there because you choose to be. You're there because it's a reflection of your own strength, your own power, your own individuality. Okay. You know, the other day, the very first day, Jazz was up here. And there was a wonderful gift of a little boy that came up on stage when she was here. It was amazing because you watched Jazz work the room, and she was so focused on her intention of what she had to share with you, the gifts that she wanted to impart to you, that you could see her look over at the little boy, acknowledge to herself his presence, and then she made a choice. She chose that she wasn't going to give her energy in any way, shape, or form to that little boy. And also, she let him be in his power, and she remained in her own power. That's a gorgeous thing. Now, on the other end of the spectrum, if any of you guys were at the meditation yesterday morning, how many people were at the meditation? Y'all were there with me. Thank you. At the meditation, at the very end, we had the Pyramid Mother on. Do you guys remember that? So what happened when the Pyramid Mother was on and she was speaking? She was sitting in a chair like this, and Patraji was sitting over here. And what did he do? He started playing with her legs, and he started doing this, and he started doing that. Now, the Pyramid Mother could have easily have chosen to not give her energy to that. Instead, it made her giggle and made all of us giggle because it was just silly fun. But it took her away from her intention, what she wanted to speak to. That's not bad. That's not wrong. We each get to choose. Thank you very much for your help. Thank you for your help. We each get to choose. And that leads me to the words good, bad, right, wrong. So often, even just before we began this session today, somebody came up to me and was talking about good and bad and right and wrong. I'll tell you something. I don't believe in that. Good and bad and right and wrong to me are illusions. Instead, I live in a place of light and shadow. Even with light and shadow, people tend to think of things in terms of good and bad. But it's not. Shadow is just a different kind of energy, and it's there for us as an opportunity as much as light is. So instead of thinking of the world in terms of good or bad, right and wrong, there's another word that I really love. That word is appropriate. In any given moment, you have to ask yourself, what's appropriate? What's apropos? What's fitting? Does this fit? You look at world, all over the world. There are people that would be incredibly embattled with each other in 1 year, and a year later, they're allies. What's appropriate in any given moment for you? So if you were to walk out of here with just one thing, if you were to shift thinking about your own world in, I'm good, I'm bad, they're wrong, they're right. Instead, you say, what fits here for me? And I choose accordingly. That would be a wonderful gift. Now, we're going to go through the medicine wheel. And one of the things that I think is fascinating is the medicine wheel comes up in all kinds of different forms and all kinds of different times. Everybody here, I'm sure, is aware of the Eightfold Path. You're welcome to take pictures as you so desire. And I will come back to these. But are you aware of what Patraji was teaching the other day? The five-headed snake. That's also a medicine wheel. It's another way of learning. It's another way of incorporating knowledge. It's another way of getting to know yourself. And as a matter of fact, that statue up there is from Bangalore. Yet another one, the 7 Lakota versions. The Lakotas are Native American tribe that I have done a lot of work with. I've been blessed. In their tradition, I am known as a fire keeper. I am somebody that tends fires for sweat lodges. I hold the energy for the people that go inside. I can create a container so people can do what they need to do within the womb of the mother. You look at the birthday boy. These are his 7 evils of the world, the things that he felt as though were really detrimental to humanity. That's a wheel into itself. Then we look at Hawaiians. In the United States, there's a group of islands, and they have their own indigenous culture, and they have a wheel. And Siberia. Everybody has a wheel, Asian medicine wheel, so many different wheels. And we'll come back to all of these momentarily. Oh, there we go. All right. So what I'm going to ask you to do is a very simple meditation. If you could help me with this, guys, I'd appreciate it. And I'm going to ask you to do this along with me, if you would. I'm going to ask you to breathe in for a count of 8, hold for a count of 4, then exhale for a count of 8. Hold empty for a count of 4 as well. Gentlemen, if I could get the music and if I could get the screen back up, I would really appreciate some assistance. So once again, we're going to inhale for a count of 8, hold for a count of 4, exhale for a count of 8, hold empty for a count of 4. And as we do this, you're going to continue on, and I am going to take you through the medicine wheel. And the idea is all the mentality behind it in Native American culture is not as important as feeling into it. Feel it, own it, experience it. Don't think about, what is this? How is this? Instead, feel what resonates with you in any given time. And we'll go through a guided meditation. Is that okay with you guys? I'm going to do it again, so get ready to say Batakwayasan. Aho! Guys, can we get the music up and can we get the screen back to normal, please? And I thank you ahead of time for going on this journey with me. All right, shall we begin? We're going to start in the east. The east is the yellow piece of that pie. Breathe in, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold, 2, 3, 4. Inhale, 5, 6, 7, 8. Hold. And hold. And breathe. And continue on your own if you would, please. The east is the place of the yellow people. The intention behind this direction is illumination and enlightenment. The animal that's associated with the east, and keep breathing, are the flyers, the birds, those things that go high up into the sky. Because sky is also the place of the yellow people. The plant life are the trees. And the minerals are the crystals. Just breathe into that. The yellow people, the sky, the trees, the flyers, the crystals. Feel the east come into your being, into your body, into your soul, into your mind. Let it mix with who you are. Feel what resonates out of that. Feel what doesn't. Again, the yellow people, the trees, the sky, the flyers, the crystals. And then we move clockwise down to the red people. The intention is trust and innocence. The element that goes with it is the water. The plant life that goes with it moves just like the water. It's the grasses and the grains. And the same thing with the mineral. The mineral that is associated with the red people are the sands, those things that flow and are fluid. Keep breathing into it if you would. The red people, trust and innocent. The water, the grasses, the grains, the sands. The swimmers are the animal life. And breathe. One last time. Feel into it. See how the spirit of the red people comes into your being. See how it feels for you. The red people, trust and innocence. The grasses, the grains, the sands, the water, the swimmers. Take ownership of yourself in metakriyasa to the red people, in relation to the red people. And breathe into it. And then we move on. Stay with your breath. Feel into your breath. Feel into your being. The next direction is the west. And the west is the place of the black people. It's the place of the body. It's the place of death and rebirth. Rocks and boulders, bushes and shrubs, creepers and crawlers, all of those things that are very connected to the earth. And breathe in. And take the people in with you. Experience the joy. Feel into the sorrow. breathe the celebrations as well as the trials and tribulations of this energy. Everything here is an opportunity. Once again, the West is the place of the black people. It's death and rebirth. It's rocks and boulders and bushes and shrubs, and it's the creepers and the crawlers. And breathe. One more time. Black people, death, rebirth, rocks, boulders, bushes, shrubs, creepers, and crawlers. And then we move on again. And we still breathe. Because everything begins with the breath and ends with the breath. The North is the place of the white people. It's the place of intelligence and intellect. It's the place of the four-legged ones. The plant life are the blooming flowers, almost like when you see thought bubbles. Intelligence and intellect, blooming flowers, four-legged ones, and fire. Once again, the white people, intelligence and intellect, the four-legged ones, the blooming flowers, precious gems, and fire. And sit with that. See what you enjoy about this energy. See where you're in conflict with this energy. It says more about you, how you respond to every direction. It gives you a roadmap to yourself in this planet, on this world. The white people, intelligence and intellect, the four-legged ones, the blooming flowers, the precious gems, all those things that look like ideas. And breathe. And relax. And feel. Because ultimately, it's all a heart-spaced experience. And lastly, we move to the center of the wheel. The center of the wheel is the void. To many people, this is a very frightening place to be. The void is the nothing. Therefore, it's the possibility of everything and anything. It's the place where the alchemists, the magicians, the wizards, those people that create alchemy live. The animal life that's associated with are the mythical creatures, the dragon and the Pegasus and the unicorn and so much more. And the mineral life are things like the sorcerer's stone, those things that we employ to make magic, because ultimately magic is our lives. And breathe in deep and release. And one more time. The center is the void. It's the place of nothing, and therefore the possibility of everything and anything. It's the place of magic. It's the place of mythical creatures. It's the place of the magicians and the gurus and the alchemists. And breathe into that place. Feel the nothingness. Feel the opportunity that nothing provides. Now, just keep with your eyes closed. Stay with your breath. And I'm going to do one of my favorite things. I'm going to read you a Native American story. And the reason I'm doing this is, once again, we are humans, and we learn through stories. Everything that we do is just a series of stories. And I've said this a lot during this week. Having shared time with Don Miguel Ruiz, he imparted to me that each of us, every single one of us, are authors of our own stories. So if you're feeling funky, if you're feeling bad, if you're feeling good, whatever you're feeling, understand you're the author. You have the pen in your hand. That means that if you don't like the way this is being written, you could rewrite it. And it also means that everybody else are just characters in your own story. And by extension, you're just a character in their story. So how could you take anything personally? You see them through the filter of your own experiences. You're not actually seeing them. You're seeing them through a lens, and they see you the exact same way. You're just being seen as a projection of what they have gone through, and therefore what they are capable of seeing. And believe it or not, this story is about a mouse. And he was a very, very busy mouse. He was searching everywhere, touching his whiskers to the grass and looking. He was busy as all mice are. Busy with mice things. But once in a while, just once in a while, he would hear an odd sound. And he'd lift his head up, and he'd cock his ear, and he'd squint hard to see, and his whiskers would be wiggling in the air, and he would wonder what the heck that sound was. And one day, he scurried up to a fellow mouse, and he asked, "Do you hear a roaring in your ear?" "No, no," answered the other mouse, not lifting his busy nose from the ground. "I hear nothing. I'm busy. Talk to me later." He asked another mouse the same question, and the mouse gave him that same look like he was a crazy little sucker. "Are you foolish in the head? What sound?" he asked, and slipped into a hole. The little mouse shrugged his whiskers, busied himself again, and he was determined to forget the whole matter. But he couldn't. Because once you hear that sound, you can't unhear it. And there was that roaring again. It was faint, very faint, but it was there. And one day, he got his courage up, and he decided to investigate the sound. Just a little. And he left the other mice behind, and he scurried off. And he listened again. There it was. He heard that sound even greater. And then he heard someone say, "Hello." "Hello, little brother," the voice said. And the mouse almost jumped out of his skin. He arched his back and his tail, and he was about to run. "Hello," again the voice said. "It is I, Brother Raccoon." And sure enough, it was. "What are you doing here by yourself, little brother?" asked the raccoon. And the mouse blushed, and he put his nose almost to the ground, and he said, "I hear a roaring in my ear, and I'm investigating." "A roaring in your ear?" replied the raccoon as he sat down. "What you hear, little brother, is the river. Now, this was a new word for the mouse, the river. The mouse asked curiously, "What is a river?" And the raccoon said, "Walk with me, and I'll show you the river." And little mouse was terribly afraid, but he was determined to find out once and for all about all that roaring. I could return to my work, he thought. You know, maybe after this thing is settled. All right, raccoon, my brother, lead me onto the river and I'll walk with you. Little mouse walked with raccoon, and his little heart was pounding in his breast, and the raccoon was taking him on strange paths. And the little mouse smelled the scent of many things that had gone by the way. Many times he had become so frightened he almost turned back. But he didn't. And finally he came to the river. It was huge and breathtaking, deep and clear in places, and murky in others. And little mouse was unable to see across it because it was so vast. And he could hear it. It roared, it sang, it cried, it thundered. And little mouse just looked in awe, and he said, "It's so powerful," fumbling for words. "It's a great thing," answered the raccoon. "But here, let me introduce you to a friend." In a smoother, shallower part of the pond, there was a lily pad, and bright and green sitting on it was a frog almost as green as the pad. And the frog said, "Hello, little brother, welcome to the river." At which point the raccoon took his leave, and he said, "Do not fear, little brother, for Frog will take care of you now." And the mouse approached the water, and he looked into it, and he saw a frightened mouse rejected there, reflected there. "Who are you?" little mouse asked the reflection. "Are you not afraid of being this far out of the great river?"
"No, idiot,"
answered the frog. "I'm not afraid. I've been given the gift from birth to live above and within the river." "Amazing," little mouse said at last, fumbling again for words. "Would you like to have some medicine power?" Frog asked. "Medicine power? Me?" Yes, it's possible." The frog said, "Then crouch as low as you can and jump as high as you are able, and you will have the medicine." And Frog said, "Do it now." Little mouse did as he was instructed. He crouched down as low as he could, and he jumped, and when he did, his eyes saw the sacred mountains. Little mouse could hardly believe his eyes, but there they were. And then they fell back to earth, and he landed in the river. And little mouse became frightened and scrambled back to the bank. And he was wet and frightened and, frankly, just a little pissed off. "You've tricked me," little mouse screamed at the frog. "Wait," said the frog. "You're not harmed. Do not let your fear and anger blind you. What did you see?" "I saw the sacred mountains, and you have a new name. It is Jumping Mouse." Thank you," said Jumping Mouse. "But it's time to go." And Frog said, "You can go. Just keep the sound of the river to your back, and you will be straight back with your people." And Jumping Mouse returned. But everybody looked at him a little strangely because he was soaking wet, and they thought, well, he must have been in the mouth of some animal and that he was spat out. He must be poison. And Jumping Mouse lived there anyway. But the entire time, the memory of the sacred mountain and the river burned in his mind, burned in his heart. And one day, he went to the edge of the place and looked out on the prairie. And he looked up for the sky. The sky is full of many spots, and each one was an eagle. But he was determined to go to the sacred mountain. He gathered all of his courage and ran just as fast as he could onto the prairie. and his little heart pounded with fear and excitement. And he ran until he came to a stand of sage. And he was reeling and trying to catch his breath. And there was an old mouse sitting there in the patch of sage. And seeds were plentiful. "Hello," Old Mouse said. "Welcome." And Jumping Mouse was amazed at such a place. "You are truly a great mouse," he said with respect. "This is a wonderful place, and you are safe from the eagles." "Yes," said the old man. "And one can see all the beings on the prairie here, the buffalo, the antelope, the rabbit, the coyote, and one can see them and know all of their names." At some point, the mouse decided he had to leave even there. A whole sky full of eagles just waiting. And it was hard for Jumping Mouse, but he left anyway. He gathered his determination and he ran, and the ground was rough, but he arched his tail and ran with all of his might, and he could feel the shadows on the spot on his back, all those spots. And Jumping Mouse could hardly believe his eyes. He found another stand of chokecherries, and it was cool there, and there was plenty of food. And when he was investigating his new domain, he heard very heavy breathing. And he quickly investigated, and he saw this great mound of hair and this great black horns. It was a buffalo. And the being was lying there before him. He was so large that Jumping Mouse could have crawled into one of his great horns. Such a magnificent being, thought Jumping Mouse, and he crept closer. "Hello, my brother," said the buffalo. "Thank you for visiting me." "Hello, great being. Why are you lying here? I'm sick and I'm dying," said the buffalo. "And my medicine has told me that only the eye of a mouse can heal me. But little brother, there is no such thing as a mouse." Jumping Mouse was shocked. "One of my eyes. One of my tiny eyes." And he scurried back into the chokecherries. And then he sat there and he thought about it. He will die without me, and he is a great being. And he went back to where the buffalo lay, and he said, "I am a mouse, and you are a great being, and I cannot let you die. I have 2 eyes, and you can have 1. And the minute that he said that, Jumping Mouse eye flew out of his head, and the buffalo was made whole again. And the buffalo jumped to his feet, shaking Jumping Mouse's whole world with a thunder. "Thank you, little brother. I know of your quest for Sacred Mountain, and I could take you there." And off they went, with that huge buffalo providing cover, and little Jumping Mouse running under the buffalo, secure and hidden from the spots, from the eagles that would eat him in 1 hot second. "This is where I must leave you," said the buffalo. "Thank you very much. But you know, it was very frightening running under you with only 1 eye. I was constantly in fear." "Your fear was for nothing. For my way of walking is the Sundance way, and I always know where my hooves fall." And the buffalo left. And Jumping Mouse did what he always did. He began to investigate. And suddenly, he ran upon a big gray wolf who was sitting there doing absolutely nothing. "Hello, Brother Wolf," said Jumping Mouse. And the wolf's ears became alert, and his eyes shone, and he goes, "Wolf, wolf, yes, that's what I am. I'm a wolf." And then his mind dimmed again, and his eyes dimmed again, and he sat quietly, completely without the memory as to who he was. And each time Jumping Mouse reminded him who he was, he became excited with the news. But soon he would forget. Such a great being, thought Jumping Mouse. But he has no memory. And Jumping Mouse went to the center of this new place, and he was quiet. And he listened for a very long time to the beating of the wolf's heart. And then Jumping Mouse made up his mind. Brother Mouse, wolf, wolf, said the wolf. Please, brother wolf, please listen to me. I know what will heal you. It's one of my eyes, and I will give it to you. And when Jumping Mouse said that, his eyes flew out, and Wolf was made whole. Tears fell down the cheek of the wolf, but his little brother could not see them, because now he was blind. You are a great brother, said the wolf, for now I have my memory, but now you are blind. I am the guide to the sacred mountain. I will take you there. There's great medicine in that lake, the beautiful, most beautiful lake in the world. Please take me there. And the wolf grabbed him and put him in the scruff of his neck, and he took him to the sacred mountain. And he took him to the edge of the lake. And Jumping Mouse could feel the water, the coolness of the water, and the warmth. And Brother Wolf said, I must leave you here. And Jumping Mouse was afraid. He didn't know what was going on. He could feel the shadows going over his head, and he could feel something coming closer. And all of a sudden, boom, everything was silent. And when he opened his eyes, he could see. And he could see very, very far down below him. There was a river. And there was a frog sitting on the river. And the frog looked up and he said, use the wind. And Jumping Mouse looked down and he said, hello, Brother Frog. And Brother Frog looked up at him and he said, you have a new name. You are Eagle. And that's how transformation occurs, using the medicine wheel. Every animal, every spirit, every being is here to be of service. Are you willing to be of service to such an extent that you get to actually have the most precious thing? Love. Love for yourself. Love for one another. Gently, as you're ready, as you so decide, begin to open your eyes. Welcome. Thank you for going on that journey with me. The idea of all of this, everything, every wheel, reminds me of a quote by a lady named Marianne Williamson. She said that everything on this planet, every single thing on this planet, is either love or a call for love. That's simple. So when you look at somebody and they're acting out, they're angry, they're yelling, they're screaming, instead of being frightened, just for a moment, if you could look at them and see that what they're doing more than anything is crying out for love. When you see that you start to get angry or upset or depressed or sad, if you could look at yourself internally with the grace and say, I'm doing this because I'm screaming, I'm crying for love. Maybe you'll provide a little bit more room for yourself. Maybe you'll provide a bridge to your own health and well-being. Maybe you'll take a breath and take a little bit of that love inside you, from you, for you. Now, I have a trick question for you guys. You see the wheel there? All those places on the wheel. What's the most powerful position on that wheel? Shout it out because I can't hear up here. You guys are too good at this. The center, why the center? Anybody? It's connected to everyone, but tell me more. What else could it be?
Because void is where we come from. We come from nothing, and if we can resonate with that inside us, that is what we need to achieve. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, the void is the place of nothing. We all come from the place of nothing. And we, each one, are the possibilities of everything and anything. We, each one of us, are magic. How we manifest that magic is individual. It's up to us. It goes back to that thing we started with. Choice. What are you choosing? Who are you choosing? Are you taking responsibility for your own happiness? Are you taking responsibility for your own love, for your own life? Now, there's a thing that Native Americans do from time to time. It's called a vision quest or a vision fast. And what happens is an elder puts us up on a hill on top of a mountain in a very, very tiny space. And we're not allowed to leave that hill for 4 days and 4 nights. No food, no water. And we have one job, and one job alone. And that job is to find our song. What is it? We each have a purpose. We each have a gift. We each have a reason to be on this planet and something to offer. And being put up on that mountain in that way, far, far away from everything that's familiar. You know, that's why I take people to work with indigenous elders in very strange places a lot of times. Because it's necessary to get out of your environment, to get your nose away from the mirror in order for you to see yourself more clearly. So you get up there and you find your song. And your song isn't the same song necessarily throughout your entire life. For some people it is. Others, it changes as we change. Happiness takes courage. Love takes courage. I'm going to ask you guys to look at that wheel right now, if you would. And then, by a show of hands, who here resonates most with the yellow people? How many people resonate? Just stick your hand up if you resonate at all, if that calls to you. Now, who resonates with the red people? Anybody? The black people? And the white people? Anybody? Okay. So, because we're on a little bit of a time schedule, I'm going to ask you to accommodate this fairly quickly. On that mat over there, I'd like all the people that resonate with the yellow people to go as quickly as you can. Over here, I would like the red people. Over here, I would like the black people. And over here, I would like the white people. Go right now, if you would. Go. Just shift to the position that you calls to you. Right around the wheel. Yellow, red, black, white. No void. You have to choose one of the outside ones. Nice try, though. I like it. Red. Red's right here. Yellow's right there. Black's here, and white's there. I can't quite hear you. Give me 1 second. All right. Let me know when you guys are settled down. Get in your positions. You can find what? Okay, so yellow, red is right where you are. See that group behind you? You get to just choose. Choose whichever one. It's not, you don't even have to be stuck with it. It's a choice. It could change as we change. Just choose one. Any one that you want. Now that you guys are each in that position, I want you to create a circle and look at each other. And I want you to each, give me a second, guys. Quiet down if you would. I want you to look at the different elements, the different animals, the different minerals, everything that's associated with each direction. And I want you to choose one of those tools to help you find your own song and tell it to each other. And let each other know, maybe you even know your song already. Let people know, what is your calling? Why are you here on this planet? I'll give you guys a couple minutes, and I'm going to walk around and talk to you as you do it. Aspects, any kind of thing that you can employ for your own benefit. A tool sometimes is a shovel. Sometimes you could use a coat as a tool in order to protect yourself and keep yourself warm. Red. You know, while we were broken up into groups, Adam came up to me and he asked me a really good question and reminded me of something that I had forgot to mention. He asked me about the medicine wheel, and he asked me which specific tribe, which specific tradition this medicine wheel was from. You know, all of my elders will not tell you that this is the right way, this is the only way, or that this is the light and the way. What every elder I've ever worked with will tell me exactly the same thing. You know what they say to me? It's simply this: it's the way I was taught. And that's all. If it resonates with you, then that's fantastic. If it doesn't, that's okay. Find your own path. I'm not telling you this is what you need to do, this is what you should do. I'm telling you, here is a singular pathway. Here's a singular possibility. If it sings to you, if you resonate with it, that's fantastic. A long, long time ago, I was very, very close with the old man who led the Yaqui tribe. And I called him up in a tizzy one day because two positions on that wheel were different than the way he had taught me. And I was just going, this is wrong. What are they doing? How is this? And you know what he did? He did what most elders do best. He laughed, because it's not important. There is no right. There is no wrong. There is no it should be this way or it shouldn't be that way. This is a wheel, and I showed you as well throughout the afternoon a number of different possibilities, different ways. Look for the pathway into yourself. Ultimately, that's all that's important. So I'm going to take a couple of questions from you guys, and then we'll wrap it up, because we have a lot of speakers today, and a lot of amazing people are going to share their gifts with you. So does anybody have a question? Anybody at all? I can't walk 5 feet out there without y'all mobbing me and asking me questions. I know you got questions. Anybody? Yes. It's because there was an energy of the people associated with that that resonated with a specific element. And according to almost every Native American tradition that I found, the red people are associated with water. The red people are associated with trust and innocence. They are heart-first people. They are, for me, that's why it works so easily in my life, because I operate in this world heart first. And so when I understand these traditions, they speak to my being, because this is how I operate. Because ultimately, as I said, all of this is just a tool for you to know yourself even better, for you to become more aware, more awake, for you to provide love for yourself from yourself. Any other questions, guys? Absolutely. So if you look at the east and you see the yellow people, and where do you think the land of the rising sun is? The east. The most people from Asia are considered the yellow people, and they're from the east, and this is the energy of that geographical area. Does that make sense? All right, one more if you guys have one. Anybody? Down there. Just give it a shout, whoever it is. The sounds that we are hearing, when you are in a sweat lodge, there are specific songs that you sing for each round. There are 4 rounds in a sweat lodge. There are prayers for self, there are prayers for others, there's a giveaway round where you release anything that you've been carrying along that you don't want to have anymore. But the trick to the giveaway round is you can't gift wrap and put a bow on a box of poop and give it to the universe. Instead, if you're going to release it as a gift, even if it was something difficult, even if it was something hard, because then the gift goes into the universe to serve another individual who's in need of that particular gift, whether it was provided to you in a very difficult manner or in a lovely manner. It's very similar to if you needed to get well and you took penicillin and you got well and then you kept taking penicillin, it would make you ill. So it's time to give it away. Let it go. Give it away, give it away, give it away. And the last round is the dream round. And that's where all of that you've gone through in the entire experience becomes yours to release in trust of self and in trust of the universal energy. And there's just one poem that I'd like to wrap up with, and it's called Words to Live By. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are actually powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that frightens us most. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small doesn't serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are born to manifest the glory of God that is within each of us. And it's not just in some of us. It's in everyone. And as we let our own light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we are liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. So what I'm asking you to do is take this reflection to know that you are a gift, to know that you are powerful, to know that you are here to serve a purpose and to embrace that, to appreciate that, to be the wonderful, empowered, powerful being that you are on this planet. And one last time for me, everybody repeat back Matakwiyasa. Aho. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen.
Thank you so much for such a different perspective of looking at things and experiencing it. May I ask Jasmine to honor him? Pinky, can you please come?
I just wanted to add the importance of honoring the First Nations people. Our beautiful First Nations people, their harmonic is becoming more and more strong because they are the gatekeepers. What we mean by the gatekeepers is they've committed their life to be the bridge of expression for Gaia. They are so connected to the heart of our planet. They know the wind speaks, the rock speaks, the ocean speaks, the water speaks. They have great gifts. They can move their consciousness into an eagle and soar like an eagle and know what life is like as an eagle. They call it shape-shifting. And all around the world, the indigenous and the First Nation people are rising to share their wisdom with us because they feel we're finally at a point of consciousness where we can truly understand who they are and the gifts they carry. And their medicine wheels may be different, but they're so important. And I've had great fun playing with Susan's medicine wheel yesterday and the medicine wheel today. Our red people, which was my first choice, we had this song in our heart of joy and love and peace, and it was so good to be with them. The only tribe not coming out around the world now is the Australian Aboriginal people, but they will find you when they want you. And that's how it used to be. The First Nations people would call you telepathically and call you in your heart, and they would call you to them. You couldn't find them, and you couldn't just go show up and get their wisdom. Very select regarding who they give their wisdom to. So here we have a beautiful brother who, even though in a white body this time with an American accent, is deeply bound into the wisdom of these ones who have been able to share what he could then share with you today. So this beautiful harmonic of First Nations people are supporting the rising, the ascension of Gaia. They are teaching us how to walk lightly upon Gaia, to use resources wisely, to reduce our carbon footprint. So we can all do that. We can make the commitment to reduce our carbon footprint, can't we? So every time we come together here, and what we mean by that is just use Gaia's resources better. It takes 20 times Gaia's resources to put meat on the table compared to grains and vegetarian. If you're concerned about the environment, then stop misusing Gaia's resources. 20 times the resources to put meat on the table compared to vegetarian. So let's take a moment and give a fabulous thank you, a real Indian thank you to our representative of First Nations people.